So hello everybody and welcome to Aw Yeah Comics. We are a day before their official grand opening here.
So you get the preview.
You get the preview of this really cool building. We've also getting the preview. We've never seen a chance. Is everyone here from SUNY?
Yep.
Right on. We actually took in, we got here really early. Like embarrassingly early? Like the kind of early...
2:15?
Yeah, 2:15. Well, because we didn't want to get into traffic like some of you guys ran into.
Well, like, let's see, Friday, we're coming from New Jersey, like North Jersey, and we have to kind of pass New York City in a way. So the second it hits 3 o'clock, it's gridlock.
Yeah, no, so
no. We left early, we got up here.
And then we were like, okay, and actually on the way over here, we were going to hit here first, and then we were going to like drive around and see all the wonders that Harrison, New York has to offer. And we did that too, but before that, tractor trailer, fucked
just
up something.
blocked the road. Like, he made a turn somewhere, it was like there's a low bridge, so we had to back up. Cops had everything blocked up, so we're like,
wow,
let's make a U-turn. And then let's just go to SUNY Purchase.
Thanks a lot to you guys for having us and for letting us walk around your campus completely without any credentials or anything like that. But yeah. We saw the commuter room. Yes, we stopped by the commuter room and played foosball.
Because we were just like, we walked into, I think it was the Student Services building, because we're not sure where to go.
That's where you go, right? You go to the
Student Services, that's where all the kids hang out. Wait, this is entirely wrong. But we see some guy, we're like, yeah, there's a comic club on campus, there's a guy named Jason Bassetti, he's like, Joseph Bassetti? After doing some searching, we're just like, yeah, Joseph, we know Joe, hey, we're totally students! And he's like, oh yeah, they meet on Tuesdays, and we're like, shit, it's not Tuesday, maybe we can find them some other way. And he's like, well, they hang out in the commuter room, like that's where the group meets. We're like, all right, we'll go over there. So we checked that out, played some foosball, it was fun.
Ran into the LARPing club.
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
the RPG club downstairs.
Yep.
I shouldn't rag on them too much, I used to LARP.
Yes. I LARPed one time, and then I ran into a bear. I don't LARP no more.
An actual bear. Wait.
Yeah, not like a heavy-set dude that really wants to go out with me. Like,
You didn't just run into a bear, you ran into like...
I ran into many bears. I ran into a bear.
Like 2?
No, I ran into a bear, and then I ran into its cubs.
You gotta tell this story real quick. Alright, hang on.
Sorry.
Before we get to the comics.
Yeah, if anyone's familiar with An Evening with Kevin Smith, this is the school of panels that we went to where it's like, ask a question. Okay, 2 hours later, sorry, what was that?
There was one question, we barely answered it.
Yeah, so since you didn't ask any questions yet, we'll just start telling stories.
So there's a LARP called Night Realms.
By the way,
still going
if you have no context for LARPing, imagine D&D, but for real, right? That sounds awesome!
It sounds awesome!
Don't look it up! Because if you do, then you'll be like, oh no, never mind, I'm not gonna know. But this is before that opportunity, so we're just like, that sounds awesome, right? You make your own weapons, you dress in costumes and go in the woods, and just be the person you want to be. So
yeah, I'm gonna be a knight, I'm gonna be a wizard, I'm gonna be an elf, it's awesome!
Exactly, so...
unless you buy hockey pads and like attach chains to them and then wear jeans underneath and you're just like, yeah, I totally look awesome!
Yeah, I'm looking at Mad Max reject! We went and the first step of this was Doom was we had our costume fabric all set up, and then in the middle of the night, we had a lot of sleepovers up until our late 20s, and
Up until?
Alright. It's true, yeah, and we do fall asleep. But while we were asleep, our friend's grandmother saw the fabric and made our costumes for us using like rainbow fabrics and like different awful like oranges and blacks and greens, and I'm like, and she's like, here you go, and we're like, this is the worst thing in the world.
Now, understand, this is Sal and our friend Tim going for the first time, because I
he
didn't go the first time.
We didn't
I went
go
the second time with Tim.
Tim and I had a conversation where we were like, but it's our friend Tim, he makes video games, that's, he doesn't have anything to do with us because he's too busy doing the other thing.
Living in Oregon and then
Yep, he's an independent video game producer or something. Or something, I just talked to him yesterday. But anyway, we made these horrible looking costumes. It was the saddest thing ever. And we're like, oh, this is, all the cool kids at Night Realms are going to make fun of us.
Like, saying that a LARPer is going to make fun of us for our costumes really means something.
We had no idea how funny that was. So we go to Night Realms, which is like in the middle of Pennsylvania, and we passed by a trail called Shades of Death, which is another omen, and we're like, oh cool, that's, Shades of Death? Really? You burned that into a piece of wood?
Yeah, it's an actual trail at this park.
Wow. Yeah, so we go there, and it's a disaster, and there's many stories that I could tell about the experience, but the one that stood out for me was they had like the big climactic battle against the dragon, or whatever they did, I don't know, I left. But we decided, like, the plan was it was at a Girl Scout camp, which makes us way more cool and masculine. And went into the woods, and with our plan, we found a couple of those little like cabins. We're like, awesome, cabin, mine. Go in there, it's just, and of course, like, there's no bedding or anything like that.
It's a cot with the thinnest piece of foam on top you've ever
There was no
seen.
foam. No, it was just
You
plywood.
had foam?
No, it was just plywood in the shape of a bed. And I also was like, okay, I'm not going to bring my saline solution for my contact lenses because why not? And we're not going to bring food because we're going to be so busy having fun that we're not going to have time to stop and eat. So we got to get these Slim Fast shakes. You just eat them, you just drink them on the go.
It's like a meal.
Yeah, it's like a meal in a can. Psh, drink. Whoa, that was the most disgusting thing I've ever had in my life. I guess I'll be hungry for 3 days. So on the third day, they're fighting the dragon. I'm like, F this, I'm going back to the car because I abandoned the cottage and went to the Chevy Cavalier and slept in it. And so I abandoned the cottage, I'm on my way down, and
it's nighttime.
It's nighttime, it's friggin' 2 in the morning, and I'm walking by this like, I'm going down the trail that leads to the parking lot, and I see this huge shape. And bear in mind, we got there. Bear in mind. Someone's a literary major. So
no, someone uses the internet.
that's right. So we see this. So bear in mind, when we first got there, we go into the woods and we're like, okay, cool, this is great. And this dude just drops out of a tree, and he's painted black from head to toe, and he just growls at us like he's a wolf or something. And I'm like, I am immediately done. I'm immediately out. And I'm like, and we're like, hail!
Because that's what you gotta say.
That's what you say, right?
Don't say hi.
And so then in a flurry of foam and like and numbers, we were dead. He killed us both in like a Darth Maul display. We were like, and we just left like, and they were like, here are your hit points. They're just a little piece of paper that are on a key ring. You just wear it on your belt. Our tickets are gone. We're dead. We have to go. We get resuscitated by an in-game healer, and we're like, okay, I gotta find one, I guess. So anyway, that was the first experience of like, the first person we met in-game killed us immediately. Which is like every online gaming experience, I think.
Yeah.
So that's the experience of dealing with night realms. So third day, bears, I'm going down this hill, I see a shape in the darkness, I assume it's some jackass who wants to hit me, and I go, I'm not playing, I'm going to the car, I'm really tired, and my eyes hurt really bad, because I've been wearing contact lenses that you're supposed to take out after 12 hours, 48 hours later, and then this thing took a lumbering step forward, and I'm like, fuck, it's a bear. And it wasn't like, and by the way, we had gone to the feast, which was like,
yeah.
we went to KFC and we got 3 buckets, and then we dispersed it amongst
50 people. So everyone gets 2 small wings, a tiny biscuit, maybe a little bit of gravy,
yeah,
and a cup of soda.
So 2 days into it, we're starving because we've abandoned the Slim Fast shakes. And so after the feast, people have already, and these people have been going for decades, so like they know, they're like, oh fuck the feast, I'm gonna be cooking in the woods. So
after the feast, Tim went back into the kitchen. You told me.
No, after the feast, Tim went into the kitchen to try and find more food, and I went to all the abandoned food areas and took all the biscuits. And I ate them like a raccoon. And so anyway, so during the feast, like there's a bear rummaging through the garbage. It will be attracted to the garbage from the feast.
So don't take food out.
Yeah, just watch out. So I know it's a bear. It takes 1 step forward, and I just boom.
That's not you.
Yeah, I'm just like no. So I run and I go past this big guild house, and it has lights on. It's the only house with lights on, and it's filled with LARPing ladies. I don't know what you would call that. And I'm like, I bang on the door and I go, hey, you gotta help me.
No, you ran up.
Yeah.
And there was a person on the porch.
No, there was no person on the porch. They were inside. I bang on the door, and a side window opened. Because I went, hey, you gotta help me! And they went, what's going on? I'm like, there's a bear and it's after me! And they said, a bear! And I'm like, yeah! And then they slammed the door closed and locked the door. I'm literally going to die in the lamest LARPing costume ever. And I won't even see it coming.
So bang on the door.
So I bang on the door, like, get the and they go to the tavern! The tavern is the commissary for the Girl Scouts. So I go to the tavern and hang out there with the other losers who don't have anyone else to hang out with. And I say losers because I was the loser. Like I'm not saying they're losers, but they were losers. And I went out and played chess and lost three or four games, and then was like, all right, it's probably gone. So I went down past because that's the only area you can go. or you can go through the woods, which I'm not going to do because there's bears in there.
Yeah.
So finally, I get to the car, and I realized that like our deal, my friend and I, was we're going to put the key in like the gas tank thing
Because it wasn't one that locked.
Yeah. So like we're going to keep the key there. So you open it up, get the key, boom. I open the thing up, no key. So I'm like, oh shit.
No.
So I just check the door, and as I'm opening it, the door opens, and my friend Tim is in it, and he goes, "Get the fuck in the car!" And I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" And he's like, "There's bears." And I go, "Yeah, no shit." And he's like, "No, literally a minute ago, Tim was asleep in the car."
Because he didn't want to deal with the shit either.
Yeah, so but didn't find me. So he's sleeping in the car, and he's like, the chair's reclined, and he's asleep, and he hears this, and he opens his eyes, and there's a baby bear on the windshield.
No, not baby bear. Baby bear.
Baby bear, it sounded
Yeah,
adorable.
babies when they're fully, like, not
No, it wasn't
fully
fully grown, it was a cub.
Yeah, but they're like this big.
Yeah, that's,
That's a baby.
It's a bear. So this bear is on the hood, and he's like, and he turns, and there's another baby bear. And they're like looking in there like, ooh.
Like your food.
Like, and the mom comes by, and then they got scared away because I came by. So I could have been eaten by bears twice. So then I get in the car and I go, "Can we get the fuck out of here, please?" And so we went home. And that's, so that's the bear story. It has nothing to do with comics. Thanks a lot for coming, everybody. Wow, no one has ever applauded that story. Thank you so much. So anyway, hi, we're from ComicPOP. I'm Sal.
And I'm Ben.
And we are at Oh Yeah Comics. I'm just starting the show. I'm sorry.
Again.
Yeah, we got started about a year, almost a year and a half ago, a little over a year and a half ago, and we didn't want to make comic videos. We wanted to make videos about ourselves and about like how funny we were, which
No one wanted to watch.
no one wanted to see. No one agreed, and that's fair, But then I made a video about like reviewing comics, and then we were talking about comics, and my girlfriend was like, "Why don't you record this shit? This is the shit people want to watch." And we're like, "Okay." So we recorded, threw it on, and it blew up, and we were like, "Oh. Okay, well, here you go." We just kept doing it.
Yeah, it
So
just didn't end.
yeah, so we make a YouTube comic or a YouTube video channel about comic books, and so I guess that's where our relevant part comes in. So rather than like tell you their stories the whole night, why don't we open the floor up to some questions, see where that goes, and if it doesn't go anywhere, we'll do something
We'll
else.
do some more stories.
I mean,
But relevant stories to comics.
no, we were
on the channel.
both in Greece. We know at least Summer Lovin' and Grease Lightning, so we can do that for you.
We were both in the South Pacific.
Yep.
Actually, we met in high school.
I vote for recycling.
Okay.
I vote for recycling.
Fair
No one
enough.
ever wants the hand drive.
I know. No, they don't.
Yeah.
Let's kick things off. What's up? What are your questions? I know that the solicitation, because we were in the commuter lounge, we saw the poster, said it's about like making YouTube it's about making YouTube videos and about comics and about like making YouTube videos about comics. So, if you're thinking about starting your own channel, we'll be happy to answer any questions about that. If you want to talk about Green Lantern, like we're down with that too. But whatever you guys are interested in, whatever you want to learn from this experience. Yes.
I want your opinion on Green Lantern.
Green Lantern's a cool character. Jeff Johns has way too much of an attachment to him, so whatever. Favorite Green Lantern, I guess, is Jon Stewart from the cartoon.
No. If I had to pick favorite Green Lantern, it'd probably be Hal Jordan.
Right, he's awesome.
It's hard not to.
Yeah,
He's like, the original.
yeah, and nobody likes Guy Gardner.
Guy Gardner's got his like weird jacket. Yes.
That was 20 years ago.
He's not even a Green Lantern anymore.
No, he's
Yeah,
a Red
he's the
Lantern,
Red Lantern.
which actually makes sense for him.
He's an angry guy.
Yeah, he's an angry guy.
I
Because
know-
he sucks.
I know Green Lantern a little bit. Now, this is the thing. Sal had read a lot of comics when he was growing up.
Yep.
I didn't. My first comics were from my parents on, I think, like my 13th birthday.
Yeah.
It was Spawn Batman and
Ooh,
Batman
nice.
Spawn.
Nice.
And,
Both issues.
Both issues. Yeah, they
Nice.
got both trades, or crossovers.
Mm-hmm.
There was a Deathstroke book, and one tiny part of the Age of Apocalypse saga. So this was my exposure, and I was like, this stuff is cool, but I'm gonna go play inline hockey outside.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
That was, I grew up reading comics when I was, I guess 3 or 4. My mom's friend used to like grab comics out of the China hutch and throw them at me. And it only took a couple of years later to realize, after like around 10 or 11, that those comics were actually the original Batman #1s and Detective Comics #27s, and like Yeah, like she was just like, oh, kids love comics. I have a few of those. Here you go. So my first comics that I ever read were the original Batman comics.
Wow.
These like $15,000 comics that I'm reading while eating, Cheerios or whatever. I think I was trying to think of the specific cereal. It was O's, Honey O's.
Oh, Honey Graham O's.
Honey Graham O's.
Wow.
And
And now those are gone.
those are long gone. No, and I was like shrewdly, I'm like, hey, do you still have those Batmans? And no, her daughter dated a comic book fan.
That was the end of that.
The trade-off
Bye-bye.
was he was I knew them from my Lake membership, and he was like getting out of comics, I guess because he was planning his retirement fund from the comics he stole from them. But he was getting rid of a few, so he gave me a couple of long boxes, which helped kickstart my collection, which is, extensive. I live a rich, full existence with my comics.
We also went to some of the first cons.
I did. Okay. Who's familiar with New York Comic Con? You guys go?
Yeah.
Are you going this October?
Yeah.
You should go. It's awesome. Yeah, the first Comic Cons were like in church basements, and I remember when I was a kid, my grandma, who lived in Brooklyn, was like, "Oh, I think they're selling comic books at the church. Would you like me to pick up a few comics?" I was like 13. I'm like, yeah. Could you give me Spawn #9, Spawn #1, Shadowcat or Shadowhawk #1, just all Image books that my 88-year-old grandmother was gonna like bring her like wheel cart thing to the church basement.
Yeah, the grandparent basket.
Yeah. Ones that put everything in.
Yeah, there's
Yep.
supposed to be groceries.
Mhm.
Sometimes they put laundry and all that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
that's right. And my poor grandma, who was like 4'8",
Oh.
like went to the church. And the next time I saw her, like we went to Brooklyn, and she's like, "Here you go." I'm like, "Holy shit!
You actually got
She only spawns. Like what the hell do you think that experience was like?" I would love to ask her. She's gone now, but like it would be amazing to be like, "Grandma, what happened there?" "Yes, I like this old Italian lady. Yeah, I like a Spawn #9, which was at that time the first appearance of Angela, which was like, wow, Angela, that's crazy and probably worth like $30. I didn't think about that as a kid. I'm sure my grandma got a great deal.
You want to read the books.
There's no way that they scred my grandma out of a whole bunch of
She
books.
probably got a couple high fives, I would imagine.
I doubt.
Like, this grandma's got to be cool.
My grandma would flip them off. Like a high five.
She was in Brooklyn.
Yeah, no, she was notorious for flipping the bird. Well, the little girl from Brooklyn, you know how it is.
Yeah.
So we like Green Lantern.
Yeah, so we like Green Lantern. Thanks for your questions.
That's how we answer questions.
But no, for real, like, let's...
How do you come up with a topic for an episode?
That's a great question.
Well,
Not as good as your
episode.
Green Lantern question.
Oh.
What?
Depends on the episode.
Oh, yeah.
We have a
Well,
couple different shows.
yes, with back issues, I will decide that book pretty much up until right before we're shooting. Sometimes I'm like, we gotta do this book. And then sometimes they'll come over and I'll be like, just a minute. And I'm like going through books like, okay, what am I gonna do? Probably that one. And then just go with it.
Because you've read them.
Because I've read them, I know them, and the only thing I'll do like as prep is like leaf through it a little bit to be like, oh yeah, that's right. I can't forget this part right here. But yeah, as far as off the rack goes, it's just
Popular.
popular.
Books.
Popularity.
Or different titles.
Yeah, sometimes there's, okay, so here's the thing. If we were a channel that did only Image books, or only IDW books, or only Boom Studios books, we would have maybe 1,000 subscribers. And that's like the really dirty part of it. Is like, talking about comics on YouTube, you have to go with popularity, and you have to like somehow fit in the stuff that like people need to read as opposed to the stuff they're already reading. Because that's the thing with YouTubing about comics, people want to hear, for the most part, what they agree with. People want to hear someone say the same thing that they're thinking or that they're saying, and that gets challenging after a while because like sometimes you don't agree, sometimes you want to do something else, and sometimes you branch out.
It's hard to really grit your teeth and be like, yeah, you should totally read this book, it's fantastic, when you don't agree with it at all.
But that's the thing about our channel is that we don't, and that's probably why we're not as big as like some of the other guys.
Yeah, we've definitely shown.
Oh no, like when it's a book I don't agree with or I don't like here's the thing. Like, we'll review a book that's popular, right? Like, okay, the new Batman book came out. Like, let's read it, let's talk about it. If it sucks, I'm not going to be like, this is great, here's why. Like, we're going to say, like, this sucks.
And this is why.
And here's our opinion.
But maybe this is because it's, meant for an audience that is into the new Batman or hasn't had the same background and they're really trying to get in.
Yeah, and then we try to
and put a positive spin on it. That way you at least come out of it. Like, whether you didn't like the book, you're agreeing with us, or if you did like the book, you're just like, all right, it wasn't for them, but they're still seeing some merit in it.
Exactly.
So it's good to be, a little 50-50.
Yeah, but for the most part, a lot of our audience wants to see our personalities on display, which I think is interesting and kind of cool. And that's the channel's like 50% us and 50% the content, and so I feel like that's kind of a really important thing to note when you're making a YouTube channel is like in any subject, whether it's about like fashion or comics or movies or whatever, the core of the channel is you, and that's the whole point. It's like you believe, number one, that people should listen to what you have to say. Number two, you're putting your personality on display, and whether it's the personality you want everybody to see or it's the personality that you think everyone should agree with or watch, is up to you and your approach. So like with us, people are like, well, I want to watch these guys do that stuff, and that's evident in a lot of different videos that we've tried, like con videos, for example. Like I'm sure if you've ever looked at a convention on YouTube, they all look like this. Cosplayers.
Picture,
Yeah,
picture.
shot, pan up,
Yeah.
pan down, maybe an interview with a cosplayer. Or there's like a fly on the wall video where it's like, this is the con, and it's
Like,
like,
I brought my GoPro and you get to see everything.
yeah.
Like that kind of stuff.
We make those videos, and we've done them before, and even before we decided to make like narrative series, like back issues, off the rack, letters page, that kind of thing, even before that we made con videos in the beginning because we wanted to go to cons for free. They've caught wise to that. Like in 2006 you could do that. I've got a blog, and I'd like to go to cover your convention. Here you go, here's your press pass. Sweet, I saved $30, I'm going to the Comic-Con. Now they're like, okay, how many subscribers do you have? How much, what's your reach? Show me articles you've written. Oh, I have to be legit now. Like,
Yeah, because for the past 7 years, we were not getting press passes.
yeah.
Now we finally did again.
Yeah, they finally like jumped back on board, but yeah, because after the last 2 years, we've regained legitimacy.
So thanks to you guys.
Yeah, thank you. But when it comes to those con videos, like they don't nearly do as well on our channel because we're not in them.
Yeah, people want to see us interacting and talking. So
And talking about the things they care about. It's not just like. It's not just like, hey, it's a video of us at the pizzeria, because we did those videos, and nobody wanted to watch that. But maybe that's like, if you do, it's like Vine territory. Like 6 seconds is the maximum of like what we're doing in our private lives. But like shows that they sit down and subscribe for, that's like, look, keep it about comics, people, or at least comic-related stuff. That's why we changed the name. It's because like we called it ComicPOP because we're like, it's about comics, but it's also a foot still in pop culture, like we still
every little bit of that.
yeah, like
branch out.
we can do a video about video games. We can do a video about movies if we wanted to, because there's still some broadness in there, but you have the comic in the title so that it's
Roughly what's about.
what it's about. Yeah, what you're getting in for.
Now, an interesting thing with Off the Rack is that we started doing a Marvel book, a DC book, and we would toss in an independent book once in a while.
Yes.
And we found out from demographics and from watching the reports from the analytics from the videos that everyone was skipping the independent books.
Yep.
People were not really tuning in for that. They wanted to see the big two.
Yeah.
So we started just doing the big two, and then we created another channel for the
another show.
Another show for
Yeah.
the independent books, and that's Tiffany's Reign, and
Yeah.
it's because she adores indie books.
Yep.
She is really a fan of the story, the art, stories that are not mainstream, because they usually have to be more engaging in order to gain traction in the comic world,
That's right.
and they can be really impressive in
Yeah,
that.
and that's our way of being able to satisfy that other reach. Because like you're doing a channel about comics, you got to talk about them all. You can't just say, "Oh, Batman again," even though I was just going over our back issues. There's quite a few Batman episodes.
Yeah.
But you know what? That's the stuff that I read when I was a kid, and that's the stuff that I know intimately. I can talk about it for like 45 minutes, and that's roughly how long the show is, so that works out. But you can't just do Batman. If you're going to talk about comics, you got to talk about like Wayward or trees or witches, and you got to get in there and give people, especially if you have. For us, I feel like we have a responsibility. Like if we have an audience and they're interested in comics, show them something else. Show them something that they might be interested in. If you like this, or if you agree with me most of the time, you're probably gonna like this. And help them out, because as a person who's actually published comics before, like it's hard, thankless, and expensive. And it's never get into comics because you think like this is how I'm gonna get fame and fortune, because it's not gonna happen.
You gotta do it
And by the way, not to like say, oh, you're screwed, but like because it does happen sometimes. Like The famous example is 30 Days a Night. Steve Niles pitched a movie about vampires in the Arctic or in Alaska, and every studio was like, no. So he said, okay, fine, I'll just make a comic about it because it'll be my script, my way, and it blew up. And then some studio called him up and was like, would you like to make a movie based on this comic book? And he's like, yeah. And because he did that, and because it caught around the same time as like the boom of comic book movie adaptations, he got more creativity, or he got more creative control over the movie. Because at that point, then they could say, the studio got to say like, hey, we have the creator as an executive producer, so you know it's going to be good. Whether it was good or not, it remains, you know, it's up to you. But you know.
I did 30 Days a Night. That was fun.
It was alright. Josh Hartnett. But yeah, so there you go. There's a question. There's an answer for your question.
Trying to think of other things. And, you know, we tie in a lot of other things. Sometimes it's pop culture related, like we'll do comic commentary.
Yes.
Where something, like a movie came out, or there was a trailer.
Yep, and we'll do a reaction or
We'll talk
a
about
commentary for it. Also, with respect to like things that come out, like Star Wars is going to come out on Friday. On Friday. That'd be awesome. Wait, sorry. People just
You know
watch
something we don't?
Oh, right. It is Friday. Oops. Oh, shit. Bye.
We're gonna go see a movie.
Yeah. Speaking of which, Iron Giant's going to be out on Sunday, so check it out.
Yes.
Fathom Events, any AMC theater, go. Because it's coming out on Blu-ray soon.
I never got to see Iron Giant.
Really?
Right?
Really?
Really?
Is it amazing?
I know I just found this out, but like it was one of the movies that I've seen a lot of movies. And I've seen like not a lot of movies. Like if I'm gonna say a movie from my childhood, it's gonna be The Secret of Nim. Like I own that movie. I love that movie. I've won the medallion. But like I totally get that. But Iron Giant was one of those things where I saw a trailer for it. I was just like, I'm not sure this is for me, and then I ignored it. And other people were just like, oh, I saw it and it was cool. And I never realized how good it was until everyone's like, it's the Iron Giant.
Yeah.
Oh my god, all this and how it ends. And
It's Brad Bird, it's Vin Diesel, it's fucking
was
free
like-
Pixar, it's Pixar.
I keep saying to myself,
Yeah.
I gotta see this at some point. I gotta figure it out.
Yeah, it's
I
awesome.
still haven't.
It's great.
It's really great.
So yeah, check it out. Watch Iron Giant.
Please
There you
don't.
go. You're welcome.
So yeah,
Brad
everyone on
Bird.
Sunday watch Iron Giant.
Exactly.
Apparently it'll be out.
Yeah, it's coming out. I think it's like at noon. Thanks a lot. That's a great time. But yeah, so what were we talking about?
We were talking about how we get the ideas, like what
Oh yeah. So Star Wars is
is
coming out in December, and I'm definitely gonna do a back issues on Star Wars because I have a couple of Star Wars books that might be fun to talk about. You know, to try and catch on trends, because that's the other thing about making YouTube videos, tying it in with the YouTube videos, see, is that you've got to you have to pay attention to what's current, what's popular, and kind of catch on those trends a little bit. Like
Because if a Star Wars film's coming out, people are going to be
looking for Star
their
Wars.
brothers.
So
They're looking for it.
yeah.
They're Googling it. And
So-
it's just like you want to come up when that happens.
yeah, exactly. And so yeah, so that's how we decide. We decide it's a mixture of what's popular and what I feel like. And I find that the what I feel like attitude towards deciding what to do on like back issues, it really is part of the strength of the show, because it's like, this is my show. Like we do this show, and it's not dependent on the Flash show coming out or something like that. Well, we're not gonna do that because I don't want to do that. Like I want to do this show, and you know what? It doesn't get like 200,000 views, but you know what? It's the most popular show on our channel, and it does pretty well, and people really fucking respond to it. So that's good enough for me.
And it's good enough for me too, because I've known Sal for like
20 years?
16, 18 years now? Somewhere
Yes,
in there?
almost 20. Yeah, 18.
Yeah. And we were friends for a really long time, and I trusted judgment. Like, he knows his stuff. So if he's going to talk about a book, whether it's going to be good or be bad, I'm in.
Right.
Because it's going to be a fun conversation.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about YouTube is that you get the feedback immediately right on your videos.
Bingo.
And you mentioned how the demographics for your independent shows don't get as much. What about the comments? How do those go?
As far as commenting goes, that's one of my favorite parts of having a YouTube channel is instant feedback.
Especially from anonymous people on the internet, because when people are on the internet, they hold nothing back.
Yeah, and there's a lot to learn from that. We could do a whole thing about just comments, because like what to do, what not to do, how to use it as constructive criticism, how to suss out what's to avoid, like what is useful and valuable with it, for the most part. And I can say this pretty positively. For the most part, generally speaking, we have one of the most supportive positive communities that I've ever seen in a YouTube community.
I've never seen people react as positively on YouTube
Yeah.
than we have. It's amazing.
The rare cases when we get some jackass are so few and far between, they're amusing, as opposed to like debilitatingly depressing. Yes?
Bringing back to when you started comic books when you were young,
Yeah.
how did you feel, based on the two franchises, the Marvel and DC, how do you guys, your opinion on how it developed over the years than how it used to be when you were younger?
The big two at least have developed in a big bad way in my opinion, over the last like, I'd say 20 years. It's funny, you think about like how today you would assume that like DC and Marvel are really corporate oriented and they're all just about making a quick buck and they're trying to exploit memes and like, or trying to exploit like demographics, like, oh, I'm gonna
Like
appeal.
selfie covers.
Yeah, selfie covers or Deadpool covers, or I'm gonna make Thor a woman, or I'm gonna create this new character that's like, that's more popular now that there's no difference between what they were doing 20 years ago and what they're doing now in that regard. At least from my perspective. Like, I feel like, especially when you get enough distance between them and the creators from yesteryear start talking about what they were doing back then, that's a thing. The big thing I think that's changed for comics is technology. Technology has brought comics into more people's hands, it's brought creators closer to their audience, and it has frustrated and jaded a lot of the audience, or a lot of the creators in those worlds. I noticed that, like, with respect to, like, Twitter, for example, like, the ease by which you can contact directly a creator and tell them they did a great job or not so great job is staggering when you consider the way it used to be. Like, when I was growing up and reading comics, the way I thought you communicated with your comic book world, and by the way, I didn't think you were even able to do that until I was like in my teens, was through the letters page. You wrote a letter, and hopefully they liked it and they put it in the comic. And it wasn't until like years later that you realize, like, okay, they cherry pick these, they edit them, they change them, they make them more appealing so that like no one looks bad. Like, if you look back and read some of those letter page, like, there are very few critical letters. It's not too dissimilar from like a Facebook page for Marvel or DC, where, you know, a really negative comment is getting deleted and so forth. So, you know, for me, I think like just technology and like spoilers. That's for me. That's the worst part of it. Like, spoilers have gotten much more rampant than they were before, and it's easier to ruin a comic from the story perspective by giving it away than it was like 20 years ago.
It's another question for you. Now,
Oh.
would you say that the early 80s or 90s DC or Marvel, one of the other was more corporate, one of them was more creator-based?
They were both complete whores. They were both completely looking for money. No, I mean, like, if you look, like, using Superman again, Superman in the 90s was going to get married to Lois Lane, and then Lois and Clark, the New Adventures of Superman, called them and said, well, you can't let them get married before we let them get married in our show, in our terrible, you know, rom-com show. And DC was like, we invented this character. He's 75 years old. We're telling his stories. You're basing your shitty show off our stories. And Warner Brothers was like, yeah, but I own you. And people like this show. They think Terry Hatcher's great. And so they had to wait. And so they had to kill a year storyline of getting up to the wedding. They were like, yeah, you can't do that. So they have to take that whole year and just put it away. That's where the Death of Superman came from, by the way. They were so angry and frustrated. They're like, how about we just fucking kill him?
Yeah.
And they're like, oh my god, let's do it. That'll kill a year. And indeed it did. It killed more than a year. If you read those stories, that killed more than like 3 years. And it also, you know, it created Steel, it created Parallax, it made, you know, created Doomsday, it created like the idea of the death of Superman, which of course was kind of fascinating. The idea of like, let's take Superman off the table and see what goes, and you know, see a world without Superman. That's kind of neat.
Yeah, see a world without Superman, but replace him with 4 Supermen.
Yeah, but then you, oh my god.
Yeah.
And then you look at like Marvel's side, and I would equate it to Maximum Carnage, where it was like a story of Spider-Man, where you're like, okay, so this is I remember the first issue came out for an annual book, and it was called Spider-Man Unlimited, and it was like a double-page book with a backup story in it. And it said part 1 of 14. I'm like, 14? Are you crazy? not gonna hang around for 14 parts. When's the next part though? And bought all of them. But 14 parts? Are you crazy? And that was in the story. There's no story there. Carnage and a bunch of D-list characters kill people for 14 parts.
Yeah, nothing happens up until
The last issue!
13.
Yeah, the first issue, Carnage breaks out and kills a bunch of people. Last issue, and Venom and Spider-Man team up and fight him. Part 14, then Venom and Spider-Man beat him. What the fuck? There's 13 other parts! And you know what that was? Web of Spider-Man isn't selling as well as Amazing Spider-Man. Make it tied in. And it's just like, what the hell? So yeah, they're both pretty much huge whores about their book. Just make it, just whatever. I cite another character in Maximum Carnage they debuted named Nightwatch. Google him. He's a Marvel character who looks just like Spawn. And when I say he looks just like Spawn, I don't mean like, oh yeah, I can see. No, it's Spawn from Marvel. And it's offensive. And today, in today's world, Twitter would have had a field day. It would have, building on your question about like technology or like what comics are like today versus back then, they would not have gotten away with it. They didn't get away with it. The book sold like 6 issues and it was canceled. But like, they would have gotten 2 issues in and then...
No, not even that. They would have put a picture out and then everyone would have blown up.
Yeah, exactly.
And it wouldn't have come out.
I mean, based on like, just look at the Spider-Woman cover. Like the Spider-Woman variant cover. That came out before the book came out, and you had feminist blogs, you had like comic book bloggers, you had news outlets talking about this. You had Maddox from the best page in the universe. Remember him? Remember him? No, because he's not really around anymore. But even he made a video about the Spider-Woman cover. Like, there was shit back then. I mean, Gen 13 was a book that like is just full issues of that Spider-Woman cover. Like, but nobody cared. Or if they did, they were outraged and had no outlet for it.
Without any consequences, what comic book character would you punch in the face? And why? No consequences.
Morlun? Or Morlun? The Spider-Man character that J. Michael Straczynski created, no one would let go.
Oh.
The energy vampire, he sucks.
Literally.
Yeah, literally, he sucks. Sucks some powers out of him.
They gave him a whole family.
I know. And I would just, it would be more like a huge slap that would go down the line of his entire family. I hate that character.
I hated the way they ended Spider-Verse. It just seemed like
I don't like
to come out of nowhere.
I didn't like Spider-Verse. I'm a big Spider-Man fan. I didn't like Spider-Verse. And people get really mad at me for saying that. They're like, well, how dare you? It had every Spider-Man in it. And I'm like, yeah, I didn't like it. And they're like, well, then you're an idiot. And you don't like Dan Slott either. I'm like, I know him. Like,
what was it that you didn't like? The story?
I didn't like, it's just,
Morlun is terrible.
Morlun sucks. It felt like we're doing a back issues on it, so you'll subscribe, like and subscribe, and we'll see you there. It would turn into a thing. I want to answer your question. I know myself, and it would be this episode. You would leave. People would be like, okay.
I guess if there were no consequences, the Joker, only because you never get to punch Joker.
Right? Yeah.
Batman's the only one that gets to punch the Joker ever.
Yeah,
if
anybody
anyone else
else?
does it, they die. If I'm not going to die, or be gassed, or be tortured in some way, I'll punch the Joker.
That's
what I see what it feels like.
Right?
Right in the nose, too.
Yeah. It would feel
Suck 'em.
great. He's killed hundreds of thousands of people.
So yeah, you can go for
That's
that.
badass. I like that. Good answer.
Yes.
So one thing that we did early on in the semester was we had a list of all different Marvel books, and people picked out which ones they want. Could you maybe both pick 3 that you're looking forward to the most?
Oh man, I mean, being a Spider-Man fan, I was really not looking forward to all different Amazing Spider-Man, but I read that first 3 or 4 page issue or preview that came out yesterday, and I was like, okay, I'll check it out. They're turning him into Tony Stark, so it's like, oh, okay. That sounds really not Spider-Man. I'll check it out though. And the Miles Morales book, because Sarah Pichelli's drawing it, who is a lovely person, and Bendis is still writing it, so that sounds awesome. But the Avengers book, because it's written by Mark Waid, I gotta read that Black Widow book by Mark Waid too. Mark Waid's so great.
This is the thing. I don't read too many mainstream comics, just because I don't pick them up. Like, if I start reading issues off the shelf just on my own, I start getting into stories, and I enjoy them, but then it starts ruining back issues in the future, where it's just like, oh, I read that. Oh, we can't do a show on it.
Yeah. Like, people are like, where's Blackest Night? I'm like, he owns it. That's the end of that.
We can still do it.
We'll have to do it with, like, Ethan.
Yeah.
And Tiffany.
Has Tiffany read it?
No.
Okay, yeah. You'll have
Oh,
to
no,
do
we'll have to do it with
Ethan and Tiffany.
Yeah.
And then I can't be on it, which kills me, because I really had fun.
We could just
reading
talk
it.
about it.
What if you were to do it? What if you were to take Sal's spot for that episode?
Because I'm so bad at telling the stories. This is the thing. I don't have the history of the characters. I read Blackest Night because
You like Green Lantern?
I like Green Lantern. He's a cool guy, and I was just like, I really want to read this book where they have White Lanterns and Black Lanterns, and the entire Corps comes out, and like you really get this interesting story.
And it's a zombie book.
And it's a zombie book. Like you can't go wrong with this thing. It's so cool. So I asked for it for Christmas, and I got it, and I was like, I'm just reading this. Screw you guys. I'm not waiting for the back issues.
Yeah.
I like Thor. So if there was a Thor book coming out,
There is.
I'd read that. Other than that,
And you can read that. We're never going to do that. So.
Spider-Gwen was a lot of fun.
Spider-Gwen was cool, and she's getting an all different title.
So that's cool.
But it's all the same.
I think I like Spider-Gwen more for the art.
Yeah.
Like that art was really
Yeah,
fantastic.
I was 100% on board with Spider-Gwen, and then after issue 3, I'm like, okay, well, I'm done. It was just boring. I was like, wow, I'm so frustrated by how boring this is. Because it was really cool, and the art's so good. And the concept's really solid, but I was just not interested.
It's hard to read a book just for the art, and it's
Yeah.
hard to read a book just for the writing.
Yeah, if the art sucks, you can't. There are books that like I picked up where I'm like, I hear it's great, but I just can't get.
Dark Knight Strikes Again.
Yeah, Dark Knight Strikes Again. That story sucks though.
Yeah, but like at the same time, it's still Frank Miller.
Yeah.
He's being crazy, but
Yeah.
the art in that
The art is
so bad.
distractingly bad. It's
Like-
distractingly bad. It's
You're
worse
right.
than it's worse than the writing, which is hard to believe. But then you get like All-Star Batman and Robin, which is written by Frank Miller, but drawn by Jim Lee, and you're like, oh, I can look through this.
Yeah.
But the things they're saying are batshit insane.
How do we feel about Bat Gordon? Raise your hands if you're for Bat Gordon.
Wow, really? Nobody?
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, it's kind of cool,
I
right?
like the idea.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the idea is kind of neat. I feel like it ruins Gordon. Because like when they take him out of the suit and he meets with Batman on the rooftop, he's gonna be like, I used to be Batman. I used to do what you do now. Yeah. I guess I'll just wait for you to solve the crime again. Like you can't go back. Like once you've been Batman, you can't like then let him be Batman and be like, I'll just wait for you to solve the case. Like come on.
But that's
Once
just
you go
it.
back, you can go back.
That's right.
He's never going to be Batman.
No.
He is a bat suit.
Yes.
He's a bat
He
tank.
could feel like Batman, but he's not. Like he's not doing it. I think it's because they're not letting him.
He'll never be Bruce Wayne.
No, well that's true. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm not talking about like the billions of dollars.
No,
or anything
like Bruce
that.
Wayne's
He'll never
amazing
have gone
brain.
through that journey.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a different character.
Yeah.
I'd rather read like an independent, like a graphic novel about Gordon Batman. That way, it's like, okay, cool. Like imagine Batman died, and then Gordon took over or something. Like that'd be a cool story. I'd read that. Like I'm much more oriented towards graphic novels just because I like the beginning, middle, and end aspect of it, and it allows the freedom of the creator to be like, I'm gonna kill this character, and it doesn't ruin continuity or make it trite by having to bring it back to life. It's So yeah, doesn't answer a question, but here you go.
Another question.
Yeah. Yes.
What would be your dream this person versus this person in any verse?
Like a fight?
Yeah.
Oh man. I've almost seen them all, thanks to
Marvel
they
versus
suck,
DC.
but Marvel vs. DC, there's a great, there's a better version called JLA Avengers, which is written by Kurt Busiek, with art by George friggin' Perez, and it's awesome, and if you haven't read it, it's so cool. I got to see Batman fight Spider-Man in the J.M. DeMatteis book, Dangerous Minds, and that was friggin' awesome. But as far as a big fight, I don't know, because you also get to see Spidey fight Joker and Batman fight Carnage. That was kind of cool.
Maybe John Constantine versus Jesse Custer.
That'd be pretty cool. Yeah, the Word versus Magic.
Yeah.
That'd be friggin' awesome.
And they're both JCs. That's so
And they
weird.
can do that because they're both Vertigo books.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
So there you go, DC, do that book. They're never gonna do that book. Unless the show hits, which it won't. And
well, in a way, that's sort of weird crossing the ideas because I think John Constantine, while religious, is also mystical.
Yeah.
And Preacher is not mystical. It's
No.
only religious.
yes, exactly.
They'd have to bend some weird world rules there.
Well, you have to go through a portal or something. I mean, You just
What happens?
yeah, have Zatanna say, "Go fight Jesse Custer backwards," and there you go. I would like to see a really badass Batman versus Punisher book.
Huh.
I've seen 2 of them, and they're both horrible. The first one had John Paul Valley Batman fight Punisher, which was garbage. And then they tried to fix it, and it's drawn by John Romita Jr. And it looks neat, but it's not great. But like a Snyder Batman versus like a Miller or an Edmondson Punisher.
It does, on the other hand, have one of the best Batman Joker moments ever.
What?
The John Romita Jr. Punisher Batman?
Yeah.
When he tells Joker to run?
Yes. Except he let him run. Why no? Frank would shoot him through the eye, like between the eyes. Like that'd be the end of it. He'd be like, no. I don't even know what your deal is, but we can't have we can't let people.
You know who would be a really good Punisher fight?
What's that?
Moon Knight.
Moon Knight would be cool. I think we've seen that. Because they're both in Marvel, and they both are Marvel Knights characters, and they both team. No, I have seen that. It was in Atlantis Attacks.
What?
There's a horrible crossover called Atlantis Attacks, where Set, the serpent, comes to Earth, and he chooses 7 brides, and they're all female superheroes.
For 7 brothers?
Yeah, for himself. And
Well then.
I got the musical theater reference, but I'm choosing to ignore it. And
Oh, you're gonna look cool.
on my comic book show. But no, he chooses like 7 brides, and they're all different female superheroes, which is like really progressive. Like, okay, we have 7 really cool superheroines, and they're all unconscious and mind controlled, and Set is gonna impregnate them. Like, ugh.
Wow.
But in it, like, yeah, it's horrible. And it's like this friggin' thick. I'm tempted to buy it. It's at Books A Million, and it's like $30, and I'm like, I don't want this. But it'll be amazing back issues.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting a little preview.
Because I've read it, and it's horrible. but I don't have them all. You know what I mean? Like they're all scattered among long boxes, so it's much easier to just get a trade. For back issues, we have a lot of books that we could do, but I have them on digital, and like that sucks. Here's my iPad. Just do this. Like, fuck that. Just, here's the book, turn a page, what the fuck's that? That's way easier. So, I can spend $30 and get this horrible story that no one will watch. Like, that's the problem. Like, I want to do, like, these older stories, but, like, no one cares. Like, Atlantis Attacks, come on. But anyway, in it, Moon Knight and Punisher meet, and they both kind of go like, hey, I love your work.
Wow.
Like, no, they're both like, what's up, man? Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, they're like, hey, there's a guy who's killing people. Let's fuck him up. And then they team up. And it's like the best part of Atlantis Attacks because there's nothing to do with Atlantis Attacks. It's just Moon Knight and Punisher killing some guy. And then at the end they go like, have a good one. And then they're back in peace. It's really cool. That was the scene from back issues. I can't do that now. But you're welcome, everybody.
Have you guys seen the Versus fights?
Yes. Oh man. Oh, there's a YouTube channel. Bat in the Sun Productions. I wish we lived near them. We don't.
All right. So there's a guy that does part of the Bat in the Sun. His name's Kevin Porter. He's an amazing actor. He's done some of the Batman work. He's done some of the Punisher work. I know Kevin because he and I used to do appearances way back when. I worked at the New York Renaissance Fair from 2007 to 2009. Friends of mine that worked there as actors worked with Marvel. They did Marvel appearances as characters. Most often it was with like Sue Storm, they've done Wolverine, they've done, like a married couple, they've done a bunch of different people. And one time after work they were like, Marvel's looking for someone to be a Spider-Man for a show. If anyone wants to audition, just give us your headshot. Let us take a picture of you in like your tights so that we can see your body type because you have to fit in this.
It can't be like unemployed Spider-Man. Like, hey, I'm here to save the day, I guess. Right after my unemployment check clears.
So they did it, and I got the job, which was really surprising to me at the time. But I got to work with this guy, Kevin. He played
Green Goblin.
he was the robber. He was Green Goblin. He was the Hulk or the Thing.
He was the Hulk.
Yeah, it was the Hulk. And he absolutely fantastic guy. And he is a giant of a man. Like he's huge.
He's like Krang's body.
6'3", 6'2", somewhere around there, and just jacked. At one point, during the fight, as the robber, he's supposed to like grab me and lift me up. And he literally like puts his hand here, and I just grabbed his arms and held on, and he just lifted me in the air. It was so cool.
I was there for that because he was like, "I'm gonna be Spider-Man." I'm like, "Oh, well, then I gotta go see that."
Yeah, I was Spider-Man at the Orange County
At the
Choppers.
Orange County Choppers. Remember that show about the guys who made motorcycles and stuff? They weren't there, but we were there. And
It was a family day that they were having.
Yeah.
They're like, we'll have Marvel come out and teach kids not to be bullies and to exercise. So I got to teach kids to do that.
It was
Spider-Man.
amazing.
It was really fun.
Cool.
because you got to also talk because you sounded like Spider-Man like anyone does, so you were.
Yeah, you put a mask on and you just, hey everyone, I'm Spider-Man! Like, kids believe it!
Yep.
Kids are great!
Yeah, and sometimes 20-somethings are great too because like you had the costume and then on my birthday came by.
I got done,
Hey buddy!
I got done with the show and I still had the costume before I mailed it back to Marvel. And it was his birthday party, so I was like, hey, I'm here!
I'm like,
Happy birthday,
Spider-Man, what are you doing here? You're like, somebody told me you got a birthday!
So we
I'm
took
like,
pictures
"Thanks a lot."
and we had a really fun time.
Then
And
you
then
left.
like, I left and I changed out of the costume and I came back.
And I was like, oh Ben! You missed Spider-Man!
Darn!
Yeah, I didn't even get to say thank you.
Don't worry, Sal. I'm pretty sure he knows.
That was amazing. So yeah, you got Spider-Man, you
I
got
got to
Kevin
Spider-Man.
Porter.
I got to meet Kevin Porter. Kevin's an awesome guy. He pulled some strings. He got me to do a show in Turkey with them. We were there for Children's Day.
Yeah, Marvel will hire Americans and put them in their costumes and then fly them to foreign countries.
All over the world. It's amazing.
I was like, really? They don't have anyone in like Istanbul that can dress up as Spider-Man? It's a full body sock.
Nope.
Doesn't matter. They speak the language there.
That was the really fun part. Because it was in Turkey and we don't speak Turkish, we had to send them a copy of the script and then they sent it to translators, recorded it, and then send it back to us
So then,
so that we could mime the words while we were doing the show. We did like 2 shows a day for 3 days. At that point, I was the Human Torch. And I had this giant neoprene orange suit. It was the most ridiculous thing I've ever
it was worse than Fantastic Four.
Wait, Fantastic or the original?
Wait,
All of them.
Wow.
Yes!
Even the 1994 Roger Corman one, which is delightful. If you've never watched it, it's great. It's all on YouTube, by the way, it's free. Watch Fantastic Four. It's the best one out there.
No, that costume that I wore was...
You looked like a clown. You looked like the Heat Miser.
Yeah.
It was unbelievable. He's like, you gotta see these pictures. I'm like, why are you showing these to me?
Because they were cool, and I was there. But
Yeah.
we had to
Was your tin
lip sync them. So we had to listen to all the words, and we actually had to say, with great power comes great responsibility in Turkish, which is Birakush Gedudu Surumuru Kitadish,
Wow. Okay.
which I will never forget for the rest of my life now. Although I think it's a rough translation. I think when you do that, it's like you have the power because the responsibility is great. Like they were close. They're just like, that's fine.
How do you feel about shakeups in the comic book universe that industries make that seem out of nowhere?
Right.
Like they're doing it to make it fresh, but it just seems so strange. Like they do that a lot with couples.
Yes.
The famous one is Spider-Man MJ. There's also Hank Pym and Janet.
Yep.
And they're just sort of characters that have been together for so long, and they're established as loving each other, and they kind of just separate.
And then they go, nah.
And then they're
Lois and
sleeping with
Superman.
other people, and it's weird.
Well, number one, they're inevitable. Number two, it depends on what character it is. If it's a character that they think they're going to make $1 billion off of, they're going to be single forever. If it's a character that they're not going to make that much money off of, they will put them together and it doesn't matter. Like Luke Cage, for example, married Jessica Jones in like 2005 or 2008. And they're still together, even after the universe ended. And
Yeah.
I guarantee when they put that back together, they will still be together, and they'll still have a baby, and no one will do anything with it. And so let's
It's interesting about character image too, because Peter and MJ have been together, and they could do a bunch of different things to split them up. One thing they will not do is make Peter cheat,
yes, they
because
can.
he is Spider-Man. He is supposed to be moral. He is supposed to be a role model.
But they
Kids look up to
also
him.
they also can't make MJ cheat because MJ's character won Marvel awards for creating strong, independent women characters. So they can't ruin the MJ character either. Although nowadays they're kind of like, no, nobody really cares. We can talk about we can do something else with MJ.
Iron Man.
Like have her end up with Iron Man,
which is going to be weird.
Which is let's not talk about it.
That ends up with your father figure.
But with respect to shakeups, marriages, status quos, identities, deaths, they're inevitable. The sun's gonna come up, character's gonna get killed, brought back to life. With marriages, you know, I mean, like, I would be a little surprised if Reed and Sue are still together after this whole Secret Wars thing. I can't imagine a world where that won't be, but at this point, nothing surprises me.
I think it's important how it's done.
Yes.
It has to be done well, and if it's done well, you can accept any kind of shakeup.
Yeah,
Because
I mean, like,
it's engaging.
the death of a character. If it's a really cool death or it's really fun, like, or if it was relevant to the story, then that's fine. And if they come back in an equally cool or interesting way, that's fine too. Like, we'll forgive a lot. We're comic book readers. Like, we forgive a lot of shit, but we won't forgive a bad story. And another, building off of your question earlier about like differences between then and now, the curtain has been drawn a lot further back on what goes on behind the scenes. Like, now we know a lot more about why editorial makes decisions, and we know a lot more about where stories come from and why certain things are happening in comics. Like, we all knew that Quesada had a problem with the marriage and wanted to undo it with Spider-Man and Mary Jane, for example. So we knew that One More Day was gonna end with that, and so we knew that the story, because Straczynski wrote in his blog, like, I don't want to do this, and I didn't write half the book, and Quesada finished the rest of it, like, we know that that story is not a real story. It was a corporate decision made by one person. So, in essence, that story is, it's dirty, because because we know what was going on behind the scenes. I'm sure there's a lot of stories that we take for granted. Okay, the death of Jason Todd, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
For me, I hate the return of Jason Todd because it undoes the death of Jason Todd, and I loved that aspect of him. It's like the death of Gwen Stacy.
And how much it affected Batman.
How much it changed the character of Batman. Like, how iconic is the image of the Robin suit under glass in the Batcave? It's Batman's greatest failure. Having him come back to life kind of fucks that up. It means that Batman can never really fail. And that kind of undoes the character a little bit. It makes him a little less cautious, a little bit less, uncertain of his ability. But we know, and we've always known that the 900 number that was put out in the last issue before he died was the thing that killed Batman, or killed Robin, was, the readers killed Robin. But now we kind of know that it was actually this one guy that used like a robocalling machine. And like, actually a lot of people voted to not kill Robin, and in fact it was a disproportionate amount. But this guy with a robocalling machine called that number 1 million times and got the numbers such that Jason Todd ultimately died. That sucks! Like, but, the story was still solid and awesome, and we didn't know that for another 25 years. So we took it for granted, we called it great, but if we had known back then that it was cheated, we would be like, we would cry. We would cry foul. In the purest form, they're storytellers. They're magic makers. They tell epic stories. They're the arbiters of our modern mythology, and they have a responsibility in that regard to tell true to life or true stories that have impact, but also with purity behind them. Someone who wanted to tell us a story. That's why people really like independent comics, because it's a person who had a story and they wanted to tell it. Maybe they had like an agenda, like they want to make money off of it. But if it's a damn good story, who cares they made money off of it? But for the purposes of the big two, like, they're the people who are the arbiters of our myths, and they have a responsibility to have some semblance of integrity. But if they don't make money, they will not tell these stories anymore. So we got to take the good with the bad. So when it comes to shakeups, they're inevitable. It's like the shakeups that you're going to have with your own YouTube channel. If you're making a YouTube channel and you're doing something for a year or two, eventually you're going to have to shake things up because you're going to have to bring in new audiences. Just like comic books really want to get those new readers in. You could always say, like, hey, what do you mean new readers? Like, there are no new readers. But the fact is there are, and they're coming. And, look,
sometimes you gotta cater to stuff.
Sometimes you gotta change things. You gotta change things to keep it fresh, and that sucks. Especially if you have like a one thread continuity. Like if Spider-Man's been 1962 to 2015, one story, it's uninterrupted. He's had status quo changes all throughout that timeline, from editorial saying we gotta get these new people in, And it's only been in recent times, for me at least, from my perspective, I feel like, that they've said, we can use magic, or we can use, social changes to make them younger, or to undo the marriage and stuff. Back in the 80s and the 70s, they were like, let's change the costume, let's make a new character, or let's bring in a new love interest, or let's create a new villain. They were trying to tell this story and keep it going. Now they're like, people who want to read these comics don't want to read the 100-year history. They want to know the story as it is now. Like they want to get the gist of it and then move on and be the new foundation, the new bedrock.
No, I was just gonna ask you, how do you guys feel about Spawn's backstory?
Spawn's backstory?
Al Simmons Spawn, not
the change where he where he committed his own abortion.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
Oh, what?
Oh man.
You don't.
We talked about this in episodes 6 or 7. We talked about Spawn.
Himself.
Yeah, in Spawn, that is this guy. Once again, by the way, timeless origin. Guy's, devoted husband has, shooting blanks, can't, whatever, and he dies, goes to hell, sells his soul to be with his wife. Oh, cool. And now he's back and he's got powers. Later they were like, we want to undo that. And as it turns out, he wasn't actually shooting blanks, he just punched his wife in the stomach and killed the baby. Fucking bizarre, right? Whoa, I'm sorry, we had to go blue, but what the hell? Crazy shit, and why? Why did you do that? For me, I'm like, why did you do that? What the hell? We don't need that.
I think it's because it was Spawn. It was we have to go extreme.
Yeah, we gotta go extreme. Well, they wanted to get rid of him. They wanted to be like, okay, we don't. It's the same. They did the same thing with the Clone Saga, with Spider-Man's Clone Saga.
Oh yeah, Ben Reilly.
We want to replace him with this new guy, this young single guy who's just like him. He's just like him, you guy. You'll love him. Trust me. But he's single. And people were like, no. And they're like, well, okay. And then they had him backhand MJ across the room, He literally says, get away from me, and he backhands her. It's a harder, more extreme punch than the Janet Hank Pym punch ever was.
Dang.
That was Marvel being like, and you also hit her, see? You'll never forgive him now. And they were like, no, you did that to fuck with us. And they're like, damn it! I think they did the same thing with Spawn. They're like, we're replacing him, we're getting a new Spawn, and look at what a monster he is. So, yeah. I think it sucks, but they could just reboot it if they wanted to.
They could.
Yeah.
That's their way of trying to get the audience to agree with their changes.
Yes, exactly.
And when you do that with a character that you've known, it feels really alien.
And forced. You're like, he would never do that. That's how fake. It feels phony. So, it sucks. I'm sorry. Yeah.
So, if you had to recommend us to do a discussion or read one trade, one ongoing series, what would it be?
Saga. I think Saga's a solid book. It goes many different directions. It's got beautiful art, solid writing. It's a award-winning team. It's science fiction, so it brings in people who like that, but it's also a love story, so it brings people who like that. It's got many different characters, lots of different characters, all with different backstories and motivations and pitfalls and positives.
It's incredibly engaging.
It's an engaging book. It's well written. I think it's a great way to just go especially if you just go volume 1. Just pick up volume 1, check it out, read it. What do you think? And you can go from there. Obviously the classics are good, Dark Knight Returns, Watchmen, Spider-Man Blue would be kind of cool. You can talk about love. It depends on what your themes are. And what I would do is I would be like, okay, let's take some themes that I want to touch upon in this, over the semester or over the next over the next year, and be like,
you could find books for different themes.
Exactly, and then be like, okay, here are my themes. Here's what I want to tackle. Here's the things I want to, or do a group discussion. What themes do you want to talk about? What are you passionate about? What do you care about? We can do it right now. What do you guys care about? What matters to you? Government, government control? Is it freedom of the press? Is it love, finding that one true love? What are some things that really matter to you guys?
Shout them out.
Yeah, just throw them out. You don't have to. Yeah.
I like a good love story.
Right, a good love story. There you go. So then you just pick out what are some of the best comics about love. I went with Spider-Man Blue just because it's about love, but you could do anything. You could do any of those color series actually. You could do Daredevil Yellow or whatever. Or you could go deeper. You could do Saga actually if you want to do that.
Preacher's a love story.
Preacher is a love story, and it's what do you mean? And you.
Yes.
Yeah. It's many things.
It's insane. There's so much in it, but
at the end of the day,
it's a love story.
It's a love story. And yeah, it's about these two people who need to be together. And, so you could, so there you go. So you just love, boom. And then you have a couple of titles, and then you just work them down. You go like, okay, well, Preacher's 9 volumes. I don't know if we could cover 9 volumes. But, so you like put that on the wayside, or you figure out another way to incorporate it, and you just go like, okay, well, what's a smaller, more self-contained story about love, or about, romance that I could cover? That kind of thing. That's how I would do it. I mean,
Not only that, you can go to tropes. Like,
TV tropes.
I want something where, you can go to the TV tropes and look for certain archetypes.
Yep.
But you could also be like, I want a story where the hero is not a good guy.
Right.
Or an anti-hero.
Yeah, you could do anti-heroes, or you could do, just those kinds of themes, like man versus man, man versus machine, man versus the world, man versus himself, and just go like, okay, what books are like that? What books encapsulate those themes? And here's the thing, comics have been around for 100 years, you could literally just Google the damn thing and find a list all by yourself. Or you could engage a conversation with our community, with your own community, with you great people here today. Or you could go on like a forum and ask people there. You could go to Reddit and ask them, if you want to get yelled at. I wouldn't recommend 4chan, but you might not get you might not like what you find. But that's what I would do.
Yeah. It's actually really fun to ask creators.
Yeah. And they love talking about their craft. That's the thing. Oh, sorry, I just ate off what you said.
No, but that's exactly it. Like, if you go to a con, you get to talk to some of the creators. Ask them what their favorite books are. Ask them what a story that they like that goes around that theme, because they're in the industry. They know things that we've never considered. Like, we just recently, Sal went to Baltimore Comic Con with Tiffany, and they asked them, like, what's a book that you would recommend we do for back issues? And I was expecting to hear, like, oh, you gotta do, like, World War Hulk, and you gotta do Dark Knight Returns, and I was expecting to hear those things.
Nobody.
He came back with responses of books that I'd never heard before, never thought of, and I was like, these are great!
Yeah. From Hell, Nausicaa, Valley of the Wind, like, different stories where you're like, what? Like, and by the way, check it out, it's on our channel, it's the most recent episode. It's a badass episode.
But yeah, like, the stuff that they mentioned, like, creators, both from the writing aspect and from the drawing aspect, love talking about their work.
And you'd be surprised.
And their craft, like the things that other people create, things that inspired them to do stuff.
Yeah. And they love talking about their craft, and you'd be surprised by the response you get from people you think are untouchable. Like, you could tweet at Scott Snyder and be like, hey Scott, what's a great book about love? And he might get back to you. Like, with Twitter, there's no obligation, but there's also, there's no pressure. So it's so easy. Just, here's the ones off the top of my head, here's your answer.
Yeah.
And you can do that with everybody, I mean, like...
That's why it's nice to go to cons. Now, sometimes they don't have an answer.
Yeah, you got to come back,
or like, you got to go up and you got to like pay for a signature if you're trying to talk to them. Sometimes.
By the way, most of them don't charge for signatures. Like, when it comes to comic book creators, like, most don't charge. So if you're ever like, I got a book and it's a trade or it doesn't matter, like I don't care, but I'd like to have them sign. Go, bring it.
Usually it's the other people that charging for signatures, like people in TV shows.
Yeah, it's all the you're never gonna get an actor's signature for free, but like you will get like comic book signatures for free. And sometimes you got a sketcher for free. It depends on who it is.
Yeah. So talk to them, and they're a great resource for that.
I know that I got a free one from Franco. A couple years ago.
Okay, so in the DC supervillains kind of category, we all know that in Batman, Harley Quinn was mostly the supervillain that always followed the Joker, but soon developed in her own way. How do you guys, in your opinion, feel about her development as an independent supervillain?
I mean, it was. I feel like that was inevitable. I'm surprised it took so long. And I remember like when she was created. I saw that first episode when it aired, and I was like, oh, this is awesome.
She was created for the animated cartoon show.
Yeah, and I loved her on the show. I loved her character on the show, and I never liked her in the comics when they first started doing it because I was like, they weren't doing anything with her. Like, they never played up the Joker angle, and it's because comic book Joker does not have a girlfriend or a henchwoman. He would kill these people. Every hench person the Joker ever has, he murders. So there's no way he would let her hang around for more than an issue or two. And I think DC knew that, and they never really played it up. Like every once in a while she'd appear, but like in Hush, like she's in it, and there's a Joker angle, but like they don't appear together, and he doesn't play, like he's not interested in her in any way. And I thought like, man, they're really like wasting this character. And eventually they went full tilt with her. I think that's the hot topicization of Harley Quinn. when they were just like, we're going full tilt Harley Quinn. And they
New 52, right?
They New 52'd her, and for that I was like, okay, like, you know, and I like her on the Suicide Squad. I think she's a fun character. I mean, like, I like her when they sometimes they want to make her Deadpool. You know what I mean? Like she's the fourth wall breaking wacky character that can do anything and everybody loves her. And that sucks. Because I hate when they did that with Deadpool. Like when they make Deadpool interesting, I'm like, oh cool. Like Uncanny X-Force Deadpool, it was like, we're not killing children. Like that's a cool Deadpool. Likewise, a Harley Quinn that's like, you know I used to be a fucking doctor, right? Like I went crazy. I'm like, that's a cool Harley Quinn. A Harley Quinn who's like, I was a person and then I went crazy. And now, every day is like a new, adventure for me because I don't know if I'm gonna be myself. And that's an amazing character and has amazing potential. And I really, really like where they went with her. And at first I was like, it's not the same thing, they made her all hot and blah. I don't like the costume changes. Like I never and the first time I saw it was in Arkham Asylum, where she's like wearing the nurse costume. It's like, how do you like my new uniform? I'm like, I don't, Harley. You're not sexy. That's not interesting to me. Put the unitard back on and be Harley Quinn. And then the internet was like, nope, that's how we're doing, and they just never stopped. I felt like, once again going back to Hush, like Jim Lee's version of Harley Quinn's costume, which is the same costume as the cartoon, that also doesn't translate well, so you have to do something else. And I like the idea of them doing something else, and I'm kind of torn because like I hate what DC does with those movies, but I kind of am okay with the movie Harley Quinn, like the Suicide Squad Harley Quinn. I'm not a big fan of the just like the over-sexualization of Harley Quinn for me is a huge issue. And
because you don't see her as a sexual
character. I don't find her sexy.
Because she's insane.
Because she's crazy. It's like, well, what are you doing? Like, what are you saying?
They're saying it's like, it's all about the looks.
Yeah. It's like, well, she's, okay, fine, but like, she's not a Black Widow. She's not like, and I don't mean like the character, I mean like an archetype. Like, she doesn't like lure men in with her sexuality and then kill them or anything. She's a character. Do something interesting with her. Like Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman doesn't dress like that so that like Darkseid will come near her so she can stab him. Like it's like that because that's her outfit. Like, and also it doesn't help or it doesn't hurt that like that's been the outfit pretty much forever. But I also don't like the over-sexualization of really any female character because I'm like, their characters make them, like World of Warcraft armor. Like, well, oh great, you're dead. Like, oh, your boobs are covered, good job. But like the rest of you is completely exposed. Like that's every superhero costume. That kills me. I like the direction they took her in, and I like when they make Harley Quinn a character. When they make her into a joke, when they make her into a plot device. Like, anybody reading Injustice, Gods Among Us, the comic book, she's kind of a plot device. Like, she's kind of just like a commentary. Like, she's very Deadpool in that book. I'm like, she's okay. Like, it's better than I've seen her in before, but like, I'm digging the Suicide Squad version of her. I like some incarnations of her. And she's better now, I think, than she was like 10 years ago.
She's stronger now.
She has
much more of a presence.
And she makes me fucking money. Like, people are like, so they put her on everything. I mean, I'm seeing her right now. She's right over there. Like, she's on the cover of the new Suicide Squad. She's one of, like, 8 members of the Suicide Squad. She's on the cover. Like, because that sells. And it will. She'll be there until that friggin' movie comes out. Yep. And then after that, she'll be on every cover after that. If you're doing anything, whether it's you're starting a blog, you're writing a YouTube channel, you're doing an Instagram account, like, as long as you're passionate, you care about your subject, and you can talk about it endlessly, like, you're on the right track. So, I'm trying to tie it into YouTube a little bit still, even though we're done, but like, as long as you care about what you're talking about, you can only go up from there.
It shows.
I'm not going to guarantee success, but I will say that like it's better than being like, well, they like that thing over there, they like video game playthroughs, I'll do that. Do something that you care about and matters. And
because not only that, it's fulfilling for you for doing it.
Yeah, like you will not hate it and yourself for doing it. Like when you're editing it and you're watching yourself and it's so horrible. If you've never done it, when you never filmed yourself and then watched yourself over and over again while you're cutting it, it's the most haunting experience of your life because you're like, I suck and I'm horrible. Oh, good job there. Wow, I can't believe I said that. Like, the more you do it, the more comfortable you get.
Sal's critical about it. I love watching myself. I think it's great.
Yes, that's true. Well, who doesn't? The camera loves it.
Thank you so much for coming to this.
Seriously, thank you guys so much.
Find the bathroom.
Yeah.
It's a long time.
Yeah, sorry.